This week's lab, we're going to be covering quite a few topics. So firstly, we'll talk about crossbreed EPDs, then we'll look at sheep and cattle horns, a chromosome aberration, and lastly, we'll cover callipege and sheep. So we'll start out with a crossbreed EPDs. So our last two labs over EPDs, we were only looking at one breed of bull at a time. But this week, we're going to be comparing bulls of different breeds. So to do that, we have to adjust the breeds we're looking at to one breed. So this chart, we've adjusted it to Angus. So that's why we have zeros all across for Angus. And whenever we're doing these, we always breed the bulls in question to one type of cow. So the cows all have to be the same breed. Otherwise, you would have to adjust the cows for their breed as well. So let's do an example. So we have B3R electorate A229 and 6M Bruce B311 that are bred to Angus cows. Which bull is expected to have heavier offspring at birth, and then how much heavier? So this chart right here is just from y'all's notes, but I've just taken two bulls out, the ones we're going to look at, and then this is from the chart on the previous slide. So let's start by looking at B3R. So B3R has an EPD of -1.4 for his birth weight. And his adjustment is just going to be 0 since he is an Angus, and that's what our adjustments are being based off of. So for his birth weight EPD, we need to do -1.4 plus 0, so then we just get -1.4. So now let's look at 6M. So 6M is a Hereford. So he has a birth weight EPD of 5.5, and then he needs to be adjusted by 1.4. So for 6M, what we'll do is do 5.5 plus 1.4, and that gives us 6.9. So now we compare these two bulls since they've both been adjusted to Angus. So looking at them, we know that 6M is going to have heavier calves at weaning. So he has 6.9 for his birth weight, and B3R has a -1.4. So to do the second part of the question, how much heavier, we just need to take the difference between them. So we'll do 6M minus B3R. So 6M is 6.9 pounds minus a -1.4, so that becomes a plus, so we get 8.3. So the final answer for a question like this is 6M Bruce B311 by 8.3 pounds. And we'll do another example. So this is from the example in y'all's notes. So we have a Charolais bull with a weaning weight EPD of 35 pounds and a Hereford bull with a weaning weight EPD of 54 pounds, and they're being bred to red Angus cows. So which bull is expected to have heavier offspring at weaning, and then how much heavier? So let's start by looking at our Charolais bull. So we know he has a weaning weight EPD of 35 pounds. So then we'll come over to our chart and find his weaning weight adjustment. So that's 32.7. So then we'll take our 35 and add that to 32.7, and we get 67.7. So next let's look at our Hereford bull. So our Hereford bull has a weaning weight EPD of 54 pounds. So we come over to our chart and we need to adjust him by subtracting -16.5. So then we'll come over here and do 54 minus 16.5, and we get 37.5. So looking at our two weights now that they've been adjusted, we know that the Charolais bull will have heavier calves at weaning because he has 67.7 pounds compared to our Hereford bull, which is 37.5 pounds. So we'll take the difference again. So we'll do the Charolais minus our Hereford. So we get 67.7 minus 37.5, and that gives us 30.5. So your final answer would be the Charolais bull by 30.5 pounds.